Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and today I'm joined by Nenosha. So, Nenosha, how do you deal when the shit gets real? Or just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Dr. Neosho Ponder, and how do I deal when the shit gets real? I pray because I love Jesus, but I cuss a little, so that's how I deal when the shit gets real.
I think that might be one of my favorite answers.
Oh, but I am I am a left-handed professional auntie from Kansas City, Missouri. I am a coming up on 10-year breast cancer survivor in a couple of weeks or in 3 weeks, and I'm also an adjunct professor. So I teach communication courses on graduate and undergraduate level. I'm also a plant mom to Janet, Latoya, and Jackie, who is
Love.
staying at a friend's house because I'm in between homes. And that's just a little bit about me.
I mean, first, let's jump. I mean, you're clearly in your car, so let's just jump right into it. You are in between homes right now. Tell us what the heck happened.
Oh goodness, that was not a question that you sent me.
I know
No,
it's
it
not.
just life, lost my job last year, and the landlord, which is a real estate company, wanted to raise the rent, but didn't make me privy to it. And then when I came up with all my back rent from, losing after losing my job and everything, they then wanted to add on some other things, so I had to move. So I now have all this money and ready to move into my next place. So that's coming up soon.
Good. That's amazing. I mean, I feel like that's got to be one of the hardest things to come back from is like feeling like you have no place that you can call your own.
Yeah,
So
really
good for you.
been here before, so I'm good.
I love that you're still smiling about it. And you're like, no, it's good. I've been here. I'll get out of it again.
Yep.
How do you keep such a positive attitude? I love that.
Well, when I was going through breast cancer treatment, my mantra was, faith and prayer doesn't go with fear and worry. So if I'm going to, be afraid or worry about stuff, then what's the point in having faith and praying? Also, what I've been saying this entire current season of my life is it's been worse. I've been sick and homeless, so I'm not sick, so that's how I look at it. I look at silver lining, I look at the blessings in the storm. And I also look at the fact that God's got jokes. So we're just gonna let him laugh, and I'm just gonna, push through.
So while you had breast cancer, you were homeless then too?
Yes. Which is a huge part of the, not a huge part, but part of the book that I wrote is just about my breast cancer journey, like the first 5 years. And my landlord of 9 years told me on my first day of chemo, I thought that she was calling to, check in and see how I was feeling. I just pulled up. I used to have chemo on Tuesdays, so I would eat tacos after chemo every 3 weeks. And I just pulled up at the taco place, and she called, and she was like, "Yeah, I need you out in 5 weeks." I was like, "What?"
Excuse me?
Yeah, yeah. So the conversation we had when I was right, like the week before my double mastectomy was, they came out of nowhere because we were really close, and I had no issues, wasn't behind on rent and anything like that. Um, she claimed she wanted to do all this stuff with my basement apartment and everything, and I said, well, can I at least finish my treatment? So how about January? This was June. I had a double mastectomy in July, started chemo in August, thinking I had until January, but I got a call my first day of chemo saying, "Can you be out in 5 weeks?" Which I just had a double mastectomy, just lost my father, all the things, right? And I had nowhere to go. I had no
Oh my
money.
goodness.
My family lived 1,100 miles away, and I really didn't have a home necessarily to go to where I could go through treatment and everything. But I worked it out, and friends came through, and I just leaned on my faith. My church family came through, and but I still constantly kept saying, "It's that bullshit, God. You know that's that bullshit, right? This is some bullshit." Like I said it several times, and throughout the whole experience, I moved 5 times in 3 years. Um, yeah, not a brag at all. Really a testimony,
Mhm.
and you know, I'm not a violent person. So I've never wished harm on anybody or anything like that. I'm not one of those girls that want to slash your tires or something like that. It's really just, let me just pray through this because I'm a good person, so I know that this is just gonna be another lesson. That's one of the things, one of the stories that I love most about Michael Jordan. He never looked at losing as a failure. That he never
Yes.
feels like he lost. He feels like I'm either gonna win or I'm gonna learn. And I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. So, but yeah, so I just look at it as this is a way for me to learn.
As a girl from Chicago, I support that fully.
I've been a fan since 1986.
Oh, that was the year I was born.
Ow. Wow. Thank you for making me feel old.
You don't look anywhere what you're even I'm not even gonna ask you because we don't ask a lady her age, but you don't look old by
What is
any
that such a
stretch.
boomer thing? That's such a boomer thing. I'm 46. I have no problem with saying I'm 46.
You definitely don't look
86.
46.
Yeah, I definitely get it all the time, so I understand. Thank you so much. Every time I say black don't crack, black people be like, "We know black don't crack, but what is your like skincare regimen or something?" Like, we need more. So
Yes, we
this is what
do.
I now
We do
tell
need
people.
more.
So I say chemo. Try it. I stopped aging at
Oh,
36. So I tell
okay.
people all the time, I literally just started seeing like gray and a little bit of white hair in my head 2 years ago. I was like, oh, so I do age. I felt like on the age of Adeline when she started aging at the end of the movie. I love that movie. I watch that movie like once a month. But yeah, I started to feel like that, like, oh. And then I now know what stubborn grays are because I dye my hair to match the faux lock hair in my head. And I have like a gray right here on my temple. I have like a couple of strings right there. Don't change. They just stay
Mhm.
gray and white. I'm like, that's a real thing. So yeah.
It is a real thing. Yep, I struggle with that too. Mhm. Mhm. But
Oh wow, wait.
you
So you were born at 6. So you're turning 40 this year?
I just turned 40 in February, so yes, I did.
I hope it's at the
Yep.
end of February. You know, February Pisces are weird. Still, we still take y'all.
No, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm mid
Oh,
February.
okay. Michael Jordan's an Aquarius. Okay,
See?
cool, cool.
See? Look at we just came full circle in like 2 minutes just like that.
I'm neurodivergent, so it's a gift.
I I love it. I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. But that's all right. I'll just keep asking questions. So, I always love asking this question to anybody that's dealt with anything really major. You received that diagnosis of having breast cancer. What was it like to receive that diagnosis? And what would you say to somebody that maybe just received a diagnosis like that?
Mm. Um, so I discovered my own lump. His name was Clarence. He's officially Black History.
I have to say that I love that you named it. I do
I
love that.
name almost everything, actually. Yeah, I do. I name my hair, my afro. Her name is India. My car's name is Betty White, the last Golden Girl. Anyway, so Clarence, I when I discovered him, I was on the phone with one of my sorority sisters, and I talk about this in great details, um, in my book. But I am, I'm just really strong in my faith, and when I touched him, it was 5:37 p.m. on April 8th, 2016. My heart stopped. I looked at the clock. That's how I knew it was 5:37 p.m. And I knew my life had changed forever. I knew it wouldn't be the same. And then when I was finally diagnosed, which I go into great detail about that, it happened to be the day when doves cried, and so I find out about Prince dying at the same time. I'm pretty much being told by the radiologist because I just had mammogram, ultrasound, um, that she knows what she sees on the mammogram field. It startled her because she couldn't believe I was 36 with no family history. And so I was ready to fight. I told God the day that I discovered my lump, just I'm just ready to fight. I tell people all the time because I'm a breast cancer advocate as well. You have to make the decision because cancer wants you to be weak. cancer wants you to cry and be weak. Crying is human. So ain't nothing wrong with crying. But what you do after that cry, right? That's really what's gonna dictate how your body responds to everything. So I encourage people, if you need to have a whole breakdown, just don't commit yourself. Do it, but then be ready to fight. And if you don't want to fight, that's between you and your Jesus. If you want to just let go and let God in terms of just like not fighting, that's between y'all. So that's how I look at it. And don't be afraid to share your story, because your story could save lives. Some people are very protective of their business. I get it. I'm an open book, unfortunately, so I am not that person. But yeah, but I am. I encourage people to please do what's best for you, and don't let other people dictate. How you share, what you share. Do what's best. Protect your peace, because you want to make sure that you are in the right mindset to undergo all the things, to be able to go to all the doctors, to be able to process all the information, and don't do it alone. It takes a village. That's an African proverb. It takes a village to raise a child. I feel like it takes a village to raise an adult too. Like, I need a
Yeah,
village. So,
ain't that the truth?
yeah, for sure. So that's what I do.
And of course, this led to an inspiration for you to write a book. So, what you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but what really inspired you to put this into a book and make it a whole thing?
I got tired of people suggesting it. Don't let the PhD fool you. I do not like to write. I'm more of a talker. So, so yeah, what really did it? Two things really. People kept telling me to write a book. So all the time when I would tell them things that I would go through, or I have gone through, they always say, "You should write a book." I'm like, mm, because I mean, I'm not being funny, but everybody writes a book about their breast cancer journey. So I just
Hmm.
I really had to pray on it for sure, but also see is what sets my story apart. And at the time, like when you're in it, you don't see those things. But when I was coming up on my 5-year cancer anniversary in 2021, that's when I first learned about the author program that I used, and I was kind of ready. I had met someone at the end of 2020 on Twitter, and he suggested that I write a book as well, but he also gave me a resource. Some people just say, "Oh, you should write a book," and then leave it there. But this guy who didn't know me from Adam, and now we're still friends to this day, he suggested that I write a book. So, long story less long, I wrote the book, and because I'm neurospicy, I needed the structure of the author program, and that was a
Oh,
blessing.
okay.
But I did go through so much in that 5 years that I still, to this day, can't believe I made it. So I had a double mastectomy. I had radiation. Then the radiation burned me so badly that I had to wait a year before I could even have an attempt at reconstruction. I had an open wound in my chest for a whole year. I don't like to tell people that because I don't want to scare anyone from radiation. I threw the kitchen sink at that thing. Whatever they wanted me to go through, pretty much, I was like, cool. But some people don't do that, and that definitely is your choice. Um, but the radiation burn was definitely it had nothing to do with radiation itself per se. I think it was just the amount I was given, and somewhat of some neglect on the doctor's part, because I didn't see the doctor often enough. I don't think, I just saw the text when I would go in, and they had to stop it early, and it was the whole thing. So went through a radiation burn for a whole year. Yes, I contemplated ending things. I had those moments where, I was like, this is some bullshit. Like, this whole life situation is just, I'm tired of it. And then I started having reconstruction surgery. I've had 9 surgeries total just to get my boobs to
Oh my
even look
goodness.
that way. Yeah. I don't mind. So I'm gonna tell you, some people are like, oh my God, surgery. First of all, surgery is a good sleep. Let's start there. Unless chemo fries your veins like me, and then you're like a really hard stick to get the IVs in. But yeah, so I've had 9 surgeries. A lot of them were just revisions, just so you know, to even them out. I used different parts of my body to create my boobs because at first I was supposed to just use my stomach because I'm a curvy girl, and then one side failed because God's got jokes, and so I had one boob and a chicken cutlet for 3 months, and then they used my back and they wrenched it around, and now I have. Then I ended up having two boobs, and then they looked nothing alike, which was the joke as well, because the whole point of me having a double mastectomy was for my boobs to look alike. Ha! Joke was on me. Um, so throughout my entire cancer journey, God was like, knock, knock. You want to hear a joke? you know, like you about to go into the hospital with no boobs and leave with one. Like I live with one boob. And then, it was just interesting to see how they would. I have no foreign objects in my body. No silicone, no water, no nothing. Just me. And so they use one side is my stomach, one side is my back, and then they just take that, which I have plenty of it, to refill them. So that happened several times, and I always say I get a lifetime of free refills. um, so because sometimes your body absorbs the fat, so so revisions happen as a breast cancer survivor, but you don't have to have them. I welcome them, but you don't have to have them. So yeah, it was a whole journey. So that's all in the book. But then also, all these hardships that I go through. Not honestly, the cancer stuff was the easiest part. It's the mental health issues, the you know struggling with knowing that you're neurodivergent and you need a job. And not knowing how that's going to look in the workplace. Struggling with being, single and no kids and going through all this by yourself. So the loneliness at times, homelessness, of course, not knowing what to do, and not really, and knowing that your family don't have resources to help you,
Mm-hmm.
and just leaning on your chosen family, your village. So yeah, all of that I will say, really was a, all surrounding that little piece in the middle that's breast cancer. So there were so many other things and things that people go through every day. It's
Mm-hmm.
not this isn't life, life. You know, and when shit happens, you have to just press through, and that's really how I've always approached all of these things. It's like, okay, and I'm also naturally kind of nonchalant, so I'm not overly bubbly. Naturally, I'm not overly bubbly, which people expect me to be because I have this big personality. And I've never met a stranger. I get that from the little old man, my biological father, and who up and died on me. Not still kind of mad at him for that, but because he was my child who had cancer before. So when I was diagnosed, I'm like, okay, he's been through this, and he at the time he was in remission, but then his cancer came back and he didn't tell me. And then he passed away right before I started chemo. So yeah,
Oh my
talk about
goodness.
time. Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
time is not time is. I mean, as you can see, I look 30 and I'm perimenopausal. So time is not my friend. Okay. But yeah, it's just things that we go through. Nobody wants to be part of the dead daddy club. And I have a dad who raised me, who's still married to my mama. So those two of my children, so all my parents are my children. Those two are still here, and I got to check on them all the time because the one that was responsible is the one that left. And I'm like, come on. So yeah,
I'll have to send you the reel that gets sent to me. I know you'll appreciate it because there's a comedian that talked about like, she talks about how she's single and she doesn't have any kids, but she's like, but I do know what it's like because my parents are over 65 and they've pretty much reverted to children. You'll laugh your butt. It's hilarious and it's also insanely accurate.
yes, yes. I mean, I'd be like, what did you eat today? Like, how did you prepare it? You know, because yeah, you ate chicken, but did you fry it?
Yeah.
And things like that. Like you can't do that all the time. Did you go outside today? Did you get some sunlight today? And did you walk today? Like I'm literally, why are
Mhm.
you driving? You shouldn't be driving. Like things like that. Yeah, I have to go through that with my parents.
Literally before I just got on here, my mom texted me and she's like, I need you to come fix the TV. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll come fix the TV in a little while.
Yes, that's definitely my mom.
But I feel you on the dad. My dad was recently diagnosed with ALS, and watching the decline has been really hard, and I am
Yeah,
not prepared to be a part of that club.
yeah.
So I can't even imagine how you feel, because I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Yeah, I had no prep, right? It was like, what? I was going through fertility treatment at the time, and that morning I found out that my that they only could get two eggs. That's another joke from God. I went through all this, and they only can get two eggs. So I froze two eggs for like 4 years, and then I said 4 years, like 7 years. I don't know what I'm talking about. So from 2016 to 2023, I'm not good at math. So whatever that adds up to be.
I'm not good at math either,
I
so
froze
we'll just go with it.
yeah. And I didn't want, I knew 43 was my cutoff, right? So if I'm not in a relationship at 43, which I wasn't at that time, I knew didn't want to risk my life to conceive a child. I don't think it's fair to my partner or husband, whenever I have one, that they would be a single parent, right? And the black maternal mortality rate in this country is like astronomical. No matter what your education is, what your insurance is, it's crazy. So
Okay.
I had to think about it. I had to pray about it. My younger sister has 5 kids that keep me on my knees at the altar, praying for them. So I have enough. And then I got my parents, so I'm good. And then I have, my second and third mama, my mama's older sisters. I still got to check on them sometime and
Mhm.
whatnot. And so I have plenty of people that I have to take care of in one way or another. So I try not to dwell in that place of, not being a biological parent.
I definitely am gonna get your book when we get off of here for my dear friend. She's currently battling triple negative breast cancer, and I feel like you guys have a lot of synchronicities. Like, she's single, her kids are already grown, and she's just kind of in this place right now. This is the second time that she's had cancer, breast cancer, and
Yeah.
I don't. I just something's telling me that I think your book would be really good for her.
Yeah, and my book is multimedia as well. We don't have to go into all the details of it. I can do it at the end, but it's a multimedia experience, so it's never a dull moment with God's Got Jokes. So
Well, and I love the title. I think that's fantastic that you've carried your humor with you this entire time.
thank you. I appreciate that. People think that I'm the comedian. I'm like, no. God is the comedian, not me. I am not. I don't have thick skin. So I have a lot of friends who are actually really successful comedians, right? And I remember years ago, my one friend, he said, you should try stand up. No, it doesn't matter how funny I am to you, because as soon as somebody boos me, I am going to cry. So I don't have thick skin, and I learned that that's a part of my neurodivergence. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing more about your neurodivergent, like what you deal with?
Woo, child. Well, being neurodivergent and perimenopausal, my hormones are all over the place at times, currently, if you know what I mean. So I don't know why my cycle keeps coming. She's not needed here. I told her there's no room at the inn. I don't know why she keeps coming. Anywho, so yeah, I was writing my dissertation in 2014, and I actually start the book with the end of my doctoral journey. So I start talking about how I was finally finished, right, with
Mhm.
school. And I was reading O Magazine, and I read about this woman who received a late diagnosis of ADHD as an adult. And she started talking about all these struggles she's had over in her life and the kind of person she was. And she was always considered, highly intelligent and gifted, and but then she was always messy, and didn't understand just all these different things, right? I've been written up for having a messy desk before, when I was in my 20s. It was a long time ago, but I have to make a conscious decision to do things like straighten up my desk, because what's to neurotypical people, a clean desk, shows power or, accomplishment and things. But for us, it's like that means it'll take us longer to complete the next task. Now we got to find everything again, right? So I read that and my life made sense. I went to the
Mm.
doctor, a whole breakdown, my primary care physician, And I said, I sometimes just get stuck and I can't write. I don't know why. I'll start something and then I can't finish it. I've done all this research. I have all this stuff. I know what I want to say. I know how to say it, but I just can't get myself to just sit and do it for hours at a time, which is required when you're writing a dissertation. You have to write for hours. Like, that's the only way you're going to get through it. And he said his wife had gone through the same thing. He prescribed me 10 milligrams of Adderall. That was October 2024. By January 2014, by January 2015, I had rewritten the first 3 chapters of my dissertation because when I read it, it didn't make sense. And my advisor said, why did you do that? And I said, because it didn't make sense. And she said, I know it didn't make sense. We was going to get you there, but next time, let me tell you to rewrite it. But I'm glad you did, you know. And I wrote the rest of my dissertation. I collected my data, analyzed my data, did all my findings in 3 months. Not because I was hyper focused, because my brain was just operating in a normal way, quote unquote, you know, to get it done. It was easier for me to block out distraction. It was easier for me just to sit and write and focus without distraction. And then the Adderall did help. And then, of course, a year later, I find clearance. So no Adderall, no anything, all through treatment for the next, you know, several years. And then finally, when once I finished all the surgeries in 2018 and 2019, I'm trying to get back on my feet. I got a job and I immediately signed up for this residency program. They did a sliding scale for testing. So I was formally tested. I went through 10 hours of testing to diagnose my ADHD. I have executive function, difficulties at times, but, I'm fully medicated and I actually function, except when it's that time of the month, unfortunately, at a pretty functional level. I recognize a lot of things in myself. Fast forward, I learned about the different symptoms of ADHD. One of them is rejection sensitive dysphoria, which made my whole life make sense. Like, I never understood why I do the things that I do. Like, in addition to reading up on ADHD and everything, I then learned that there's these other sub conditions, right, that comes along with it. Some people have a little bit of autism, right? Some of us have all these other little things. For me, rejection sensitive dysphoria, RSD, and the Cleveland Clinic has a whole article on it, okay? So these are reputable. The Mayo Clinic has stuff on it. ADHD Magazine writes about it. And so that's a huge struggle for me, and it's not just like not being able to accept rejection. It's what we do to ourselves mentally if something doesn't go right, or if we feel like we've done something wrong, or we're told we need to correct something. It's really difficult for us to overcome. You all don't see it, but internally, I can cry for days about something. You won't see it, but by myself, I'm crying for days. So just things like that is a struggle, but I have tools now to where, in addition to prayer, but there are some actual tools that I've learned in therapy that have been extremely helpful for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, you got to have the tools in your toolbox. I have a little toolbox too, so I feel you.
Amen. And let me just say this too. ADHD is also my superpower because I can multitask better than most people. And I don't brag about it. It's really a gift, and being able to see the big picture, right? We need people who are neurodivergent in this world, because if we continue to lean on neurotypicals for certain things, so much of humanity will get missed. I'm also very right-brained, right? So being a creative person and not overly analytical and logical, that is an asset as well, because there's so many analytical people out here, but yes, you need both of us to make the world go round. And I think that, a lot of companies and organizations miss that. They look at us as we're a problem, or we're not doing things correctly just because we do things different.
Yes.
Sometimes there is no right or wrong. It's just different.
Correct. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm creative brain and my husband is analytical brain. So I'm absolutely with you on that.
I'm dating a very analytical person who is he's artistic as well though. He can act, he can sing, all these things, but he's an accountant, right?
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the questions that come. I'm like, what? Well, you just said. I'm like, I don't even remember what the heck I just said. What did I just say? Tape recorder, you know. So it was like, well, why did you say it? Well, I don't know. I said it then. I can't tell you why because I'm not back in that space. I feel like I'm on the TV show Paradise right now. Like, oh, that I did that. I said that. Okay.
So what would you tell somebody that maybe as an adult was just recently diagnosed with ADHD?
Man, give yourself grace first and foremost. Give yourself grace because you are needed. You're necessary. You are, you know, that is, it can be a superpower. It can be a crutch. It could be a disability, but it also can be a super ability. You know, a lot of times it's how we approach it. Take advantage of all the resources out there. There are so many more. You know, unfortunately, the person who is, you know, leading this country uses ADHD, you know, as a soundbite. And every time he mentions Adderall, I swear the pharmacies run out. And I'm like, we need it. Like, you have to stop doing that. You know, so there are some people out here, you know, yeah, people have been abusing Adderall forever. That's not a secret. But it's just, I remember every time I would see it trending somewhere. And I'm like, what did he say? You know,
What do you do now?
right. Gosh. But you know, give yourself grace and be okay with sharing. I know that it's scary in terms of the workplace. So I'm not going to tell somebody to disclose at the workplace. It depends on your situation. You know, I've had to disclose in teaching uh, to my department chair because I don't want students to think that I'm one way or the other way and not understand or not take a moment to just talk to me about it, right? And I also disclose to my students now who feel so seen when I do disclose. You know, I always say if I go 3 levels deep, I'll come back out. But if you're lost, let me know. And I had a philosophy professor in college who would say that I'll go 5 levels deep, but we'll get back out. But if I lose you along the way, let me know. So, Dr. Gale, George Gale, he only wore Hawaiian shirts, by the way. And it's so funny when they talk about the coach of the Chiefs, how he wears Hawaiian. Like, he reminds me of Dr. Gale back in college. But yeah, I say be okay with not always being okay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. I just think it'd be so boring if I was like a super type A personality who
Mm-hmm.
always needed structure. Like, it's okay to like to have structure every now and
Absolutely. So
then.
for so for anybody who wants to buy your book or connect with you, how can they do so?
From me, not Jeff Bezos. He has enough money. Okay,
You
take
tell them, girl.
60% of my book sales. Gosh, but yes, please buy directly from me. So this is Guys Got Jokes, and it's a stage with a microphone and a spotlight. You see, it's empty, right? Because God is the comedian, not me. And as I said before, Arietta, my book is multimedia. So every chapter has its own QR code, right? And as you read, you scan the QR code and you can listen to music and see pictures from that chapter. And you only can access
Oh,
it through the QR codes in the book. You can't
I love
access it
it.
through any other way. So you have to have the actual book or the, you know, the Kindle version, and you have to be able to scan the QR codes as you're reading.
That is fantastic. I love a good interactive read.
Yeah, you know, my brain, that neurodivergent brain. So at first it was just going to be 36 songs that inspired me while I was going through my journey because I was 36 years old when I was diagnosed. You know, so we have everything from also in the author's note, that QR code has the playlist. Like, I literally pay for Spotify Premium just to make sure stuff plays when people scan. But I mean, I have everything on there from Imagine Dragons, who got me through ICU, when I was ICU, to, you know, Cool in the Gang and India Irie, and, you know, and I have a lot of gospel as well, because, again, I'm very strong in my faith now. I love my Jesus, but I cuss a little. And, but I think that because I have eclectic music taste, like Freddie Mercury is my friend in my head. So I have a lot of Queen throughout my book. But I think that, music it really got me through. Like, I've gifted artists a book before because their music helped me, when I was at my lowest. You know,
Yeah.
I wish I could gift somebody from Grey's Anatomy a book because I was in the hospital with a severe infection in my chest from my radiation burn, and I was watching Grey's Anatomy the whole time, and that got me through. First, and it's my favorite show. So, but
I
yeah.
mean, I feel it. I'm friends with all sorts of celebrities and music people in my head too. It'll come to fruition for us one day. I have no doubt.
Well, not with Freddie, but that's okay.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I just
of course, not with
love him.
Freddie, yeah, but that one can stay in your head. The rest of them can come to yeah, unless you want a ghost at your door. I don't know. Maybe you like ghosts. I don't know.
No, he can stay in my head. I'm perfectly fine with that. But yeah, I love Queen. It's my favorite rock band. And I do hope to see them in concert before Brian May retires.
You
He's
better get
pretty
on it,
close.
girl.
Any day now. Like, that's how I feel about Guns N' Roses. I need to see them in concert before somebody retires or dies or something. Lord, like, yeah, because I'm really bummed about Aerosmith, but I understand his health reasons and stuff. But I was
Hmm.
like, no.
You're like,
Yeah,
no, please don't.
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
All right. What final advice, love, note, whatever you want to call it, would you leave my audience with today?
Well, hopefully you'll share my website and everything, 'cause that's really where you can
Absolutely.
order my book. And I ship for free. People like, I ordered from Amazon and they got free shipping. Well, I don't charge you for shipping. How about that?
There you go.
Um, so only, and because of that, people kept saying, well, Amazon has it, or blah, 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 whatever. So I'm like, support independent authors, please. But my website is my name, just Neosha with my middle initial, C, my last name, Ponder.com. Neosha, C, Ponder. I know my name is spelled with an O at the end, but it's pronounced with an A. So I just want to make sure of that. But I'm sure there'll be links and stuff too.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, and I'm on, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook is only for family and friends, so I don't even have my whole name. Plus, my students be looking for me on Facebook, so
Oh,
I
yeah,
have
you
to
can't
had to
have that.
hide, had to hide on Facebook. But yeah, so I'm pretty accessible though through Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I'm gonna always call it Twitter.
Yes.
Um,
Are you on the TikTok too or no TikTok?
no, and that's a communications researcher. We don't have any ownership. Well, I think just now Americans started to own parts of TikTok, but
Yes.
before, and I was worried about where my data was going. I mean, I can see Zuckerberg coming, but I can't see people from overseas. Anywho, that's a whole other conversation. But no, haven't got into TikTok. I tried to once, and I was like, okay. And that's when all the transition stuff started happening. It was looking weird.
Gotcha.
And also, of course, email me. jokesbygod@gmail.com. It's pretty easy. So my parting words is really, thank you for having me for sure. But
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
you know, when is it the shit hits the fan? What is it? Your slogan again?
The shit hits the fan works, but it's how to deal when the shit gets real.
Okay, how to deal when the shit gets real. So I laugh through that stuff. I try my best to, I know that your mind and your body reacts to certain things, and I've learned that. So I'm not even going to let the the universe win, the negativity win, the negative thinkers, the negative people win. So I'm an optimist, but I'm a realist. But I'm an optimist for the most part. And it's like I don't know how to be any other way. You know, I try my best not to think the worst, but I'm human, and I'm
Mhm.
also my mother's child. It's genetic a little bit. So I try to be in practice of that. My guy, he often says, "You don't have to think the worst." Like I'm not, but this is realistic. Actually, it could be even worse than that, But I'm not going there. But I also look for the way out. I look for the light, and just find your light. Anything can be your light. Your children, your dog. The Airbnb I'm staying in, the lady was outside gardening, and she's a breast cancer survivor, ironically. Like find your light. My life for me is I love teaching, but I also love watching TV. That's my life. I do believe in, stepping out of this world for a few minutes, even if it's for a couple of hours. But I just pray that today's the first. So I hope that everyone touches their boobs. They're yours. You grew them yourself. Let your partner touch your boobs as well. If your partner has boobs, touch their boobs, because that is for me the thing that saved my life. Me touching my boobs. I wasn't old enough to get a mammogram, so I can't rely on mammograms only. Mammograms are great, especially 3D mammograms, especially for women with dense breasts. Request the dense breast mammogram. They exist, and yes, your insurance should pay for it. But I please touch your boobs. Become familiar with your body. That way, when you feel something that shouldn't be there, you'll say something. A lot of times, women aren't familiar with their body, so they ignore lumps. So that way you know what's supposed to be there and what's not. 'Cause some people do have lumpy boobs, so the lumps are supposed to be there. But when you feel something that's not supposed to be there, you'll know. And that, for me, saved my life.
I think that is so important and such great advice and a great place to end. So thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Rietta. Thank you for your patience with all my craziness.
No, I
Fluid.
love it.
So thank you for letting me pull over and hop on with you for a few. And I see people do this all the time, but I don't really like doing it. And I'm like, I like to be in front of my computer, but I appreciate. The post office took way longer than it should have, and but now we did it. And if you have any other questions or concerns, or any of your listeners or viewers, jokesbygod@gmail.com. That's me.
And I'm sure I'll be seeing you again. I love your energy and I love your positivity. And I think we need more people like you.
Yeah, my shirt today says "All we need is love and tacos." So yeah,
Perfect.
I think that's another
I
thing
think you
too.
need to make the shirt of your quote. I love my Jesus, but I cuss a little bit. I think that needs to be a
I
t-shirt.
got that. I didn't get it from a T-shirt, but it's probably already on a T-shirt. If you Google that, you'll see it. That's a saying, and I don't know if it's a colloquialism in the Black community or what. But yeah, I love my Jesus, but I cuss a little. Yeah.
Well, if it's not a t-shirt, you need to make one, girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. I will see you all next episode.